Okay, Cobra Kai. Just finished watching the final 5 episodes, and I'm so pumped up right now that I didn't even sit down and write all the bullet points that I have to talk about. I'm just going to go in raw with all my raw emotions. First of all, I want to start with McGill. McGill Diaz was the guy because of whom Cobra Kai came back into existence, and it was so fitting to see him being the world champion. And even when the whole captain thing for the tournament started, that who is going to be the captain, everyone thought, or at least were a bit surprised by seeing McGill not being the captain and Robbie being the captain. And everyone again knew at that point that it's Cobra Kai. They are definitely try and pull out another rabbit out of a hat and just surprise everyone. So that was always on the cards. But the only question was, how are they going to do that? And they did it so beautifully. Him not fighting for Miyagi-Do, but fighting for Cobra Kai, being the winner at the end, take his dojo home, not technically, but almost take his dojo home. That was one of the very satisfying things to see. On the other hand, what about Johnny Lawrence? This was in the making for 35 freaking years. Johnny Lawrence getting a second chance, redeeming himself on the exact same mat on which he was humiliated 35 years ago. That was again so beautifully fitting to see, extremely beautiful to see. And boy oh boy, Daniel LaRusso in the Cobra Kai gi delivering the most famous lines of the Cobra Kai dojo. Does fear exist in our dojo? No. Does defeat exist in our dojo? No. That was so satisfying. And you notice Daniel didn't see that does fear exist in our dojo. He said, does fear exist in your dojo? I mean, come on, who would have thought Daniel LaRusso, out of all people, in the Cobra Kai gi, supporting Cobra Kai and also delivering that famous line, Cobra Kai never dies. I'm telling you, when he said this to Silver, Cobra Kai never dies, I was like, wow, it can't get any better. But then it did. He got into the Cobra Kai gi. He supported Cobra Kai to win. He was the sensei of Johnny Lawrence. Wow, come on. And speaking of which, when we found out that Lawrence will have to fight, everyone knew he was going to win. So the only thing was how. And I was always thinking that the final shot he will take that same kick which Daniel pulled off on him back in 1984. I was feeling that he will pull off that kick and it will be one of the best endings. But they did something different and I liked it as well. They just embraced the concept of the opponent running to you, just waiting for them to attack you, and then you show what you can do. And that was again one of those poetic endings that we got to see. Basically, he embraced Miyagi-Do, he embraced the balance, he embraced the idea of not being the first to attack. Wonderful writing. And to be honest, every dojo got what they deserve. Miyagi-Do was always not about fighting, it was just about the way of life and defending yourself. It was all about that. And Cobra Kai, on the other hand, it was all about attacking first, don't get bullied. At least our new Johnny Lawrence's Cobra Kai started because McGill got bullied and therefore he wanted to train himself that he can't get bullied. But then Kreese came in, Silver came in, and it all began feel like the older Cobra Kai from back in the 80s, where it was very clear that you are going to be the bully. You are not going to get bullied. But this is not how Johnny Lawrence's Cobra Kai started. His Cobra Kai was about saving this kid from getting bullied, and then every shenanigans happened after that. But the fact that at the end Johnny Lawrence got his own Cobra Kai at the same place where he started his own version of Cobra Kai, again very fitting. I'm gonna tell you, it was a very satisfying 5 episodes, extremely satisfying 5 episodes. And the first moment where McGill went back to Cobra Kai and came out in that black Cobra Kai gi along with Lawrence and along with Tori, wow, I felt like I was just about to whistle, but I can't whistle, so I couldn't do that. But you get the feeling, right? And it was, of course, very cool looking entry. But there was one person that I really missed, and that was the character of Devon. I always liked her as a character, but she was just not there. She just came back in the final few minutes of the 5th episode, but all right. And there's another thing that I really liked, and that was Johnny and Carmen getting married. Very good, very emotional. Getting married inside the hospital just when you're minutes away from delivering your baby. Come on. And I have to talk about Kreese. Some characters are bad, they have a backstory why they are bad, but it feels very satisfying when they come at terms with everything that they have done in the past. And Johnny always looked to Chris as his kind of a father figure, and Chris also had the soft spot for Johnny because he kind of looked at him as his son. And the thing that started in 85 getting resolved now, that was again very satisfying to see. So they really tried to close out every end that they had. And speaking of Kreese, the way Kreese ended his life with Silver, I didn't really was on board with it, because I thought just killing of a character is really bigger deal. But perhaps it's the final season, final episode, and okay, I can make peace with that, because Kreese was at terms with where he was, but Silver was going to die eventually, so he wouldn't have interfered that much. But okay, they made that choice of killing the characters, so okay. Alright, now let's talk about Sam and Diaz. The octopus thing, I noticed that the octopus thing on the letter, that was pretty cute, but the octopus thing with the necklace, that was even cuter. Now we have to talk about Robbie and Tori. They were one of the most feisty couples of the series, and they deserve what they got. Really. They were really down on their luck for most of their lives. Every time their backs were against the wall, and every time they tried to just fight everything and just come out victorious at the end. They deserved that. They truly deserve that. Dimitri and Hawk, the best friends, are now going to Caltech, so it was a nice kind of a bromance moment for them as well. Now there was a very interesting thing that they did, and that might be a bit controversial too, and that was they showed Mr. Miyagi. Yeah, they showed Mr. Miyagi. And yeah, the actor who played Mr. Miyagi is no more, rest in peace. But they showed him, and it did look a bit off. Alright, we can just discount the fact that it was all a dream, and they in fact tried to hide his face for a long time, but at the end, while he was fighting, but at the end they did really show him, and they did really show him speak as well. So it didn't look really good, but okay, it was a dream. But at the end, I would have to say everything was about Lawrence this time, because in the first movie Lawrence was portrayed like the bad guy, but he was never the bad guy in all sense. He was just clouded with the all Cobra Kai bullshit that Kreese fed to him. But he got his second chance. 35 years after he got that second chance, at the same arena, against not the same crowd, but you know what I mean, against the crowd that was cheering for him as well, and he got his due back. And this time he had a girl with him. In fact, not one but two girls with him. And again, it was never about Miyagi-Do fighting. It was never about Miyagi-Do in the competition. It was all about Cobra Kai. Because Johnny Lawrence wanted Cobra Kai to not just live but to earn money. And it was his whole life. Karate was Johnny's whole life, and it was his possibly the best source of income that he could have. And therefore, they needed the fight the most, not Miyagi-Do. Miyagi-Do, first of all, didn't stand for fighting. Second of all, they didn't need any kind of a money or any kind of recognition. All they wanted was that Miyagi-Do would go out to the world, but perhaps at the end, they made peace with that as well. Now, the most infamous couple of the series, Chosen and Kim. That was pretty cute to see too. Overall, I am extremely satisfied with the whole 5 episodes, because they really struck the landing. It's one of the difficult things to do, but they did it. They absolutely struck the landing. And now, in the month of May, we are going to have a Karate Kid movie in which Daniel LaRusso is going to be, and Jackie Chan is going to be in as well. And now, interestingly, there is a thing that might indicate that Cobra Kai is not going to die after all. Now, what I mean is, Cobra Kai, the series has come to a conclusion, but the story of Cobra Kai may not end. Why is that? We'll discuss that in the next video, because clearly I don't have myself prepared to talk about that at this point in time. I'll research more and I'll make a video shortly on it. And yeah, that is the end of Cobra Kai, for the time being at least, or the main story of Cobra Kai. Please do let me in the comments that what did you feel about it, and what were all your thoughts. Just write longer essays, okay? I'm not going to accept a single line that yeah, it was good. I want proper essay. I want proper 10 to 15 lines from you describing how you felt for that whole 5 episodes. Do that, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Cobra Kai never dies.